Hello. So I got sidetracked the last few days by random game design ideas, which happens a lot to me. So I have not been keeping up with my other games that I've been running, which is fine because I did pretty much one a day for a week and a half. So a little break is fine. Unfortunately, my break comes with me inventing new game rules, which is probably not a good thing. So I thought I would record me puzzling through like how to do a actual playtest of a game that I invented literally in 48 hours. It doesn't have a name. I've kind of been calling it Return, but that's not important at the moment. It's a game based on the Year Zero engine again, a solo focus, so you play it by yourself. And it's probably the most depressing game I've ever written, and I don't know if I meant it to be that way or just developed that way. But right now you are playing a horror, something that is mindless and wants something like blood or souls. But you're really playing the person inside of it who has become aware of what they are and is trying to remember who they were or where they lived or the things they loved, and trying to retain that before the horror takes over. And that concept came from the Year Zero dice. So like in Year Zero engine, you roll d6s and you can choose to push the roll, which is re-roll them to try to get more successes, and any one that you roll at that time damages you. And I had this thought of what happens if you just treated that damage as like water cycling through a system, right? You visually think that it's the personality elements of the character, and as they get damaged, it's not like the damage goes away and you heal new damage. It just goes back into the pool of their personality and is reborn again when the character figures out who they are, remembers who they are, in this like cyclical fashion. And so I decided to run with it. Now I wrote, I think, 8 pages maybe, something really short, because it's meant to be like when finally edited down, maybe at like a 9-point font, like maybe 3 pages, or I don't know, it could be a 20-page book with lots of art, which might be the better way to go. I'm not really concerned about that right now. I made a quick character sheet for it so that I could. I'm one of those people, I need a character sheet to look good just to play test. I can't do it off other things. So, anyways, so I thought I would just try it out and let you guys see it with me. Why not, right? And again, I'm using Foundry, and I'm using the Forbidden Lands Year Zero kind of extension because our add-on, because I have it, and because I'm using modified Year Zero dice. So I don't know how the dice pool is going to work, but the dice rules are going to work, but I thought it was a good place to start. So let's just start, right? The game has no real setting because the character, you're the Lost, and the Lost is kind of in a haze. They don't really know what's going on, and so there's no setting. You just kind of make it as you go, as you feel you want to play it, and be open to the fact that it can shift as your character realizes things. So so it's really simple to start. What type of horror are you? If you don't have any idea, you just roll 1d6. I am undead. Now, if that spurs you on, maybe later editions will have better charts, but it could be a vampire, you could be a zombie, you could be a revenant, you could be whatever you want to be, and you don't know. you know, you don't necessarily know what you are. And then roll to figure out what you were. 4, a common person. I'm just a common person. Common's probably a bad word for that, but, you know, the everyday man. Not a god, not magical, not heroic, just everyday person. Cool. And then we put 10 points in your persona, 8 points into training, and 5 points into comprehension. Now, persona is your strength of personality. It'll be things like courageous, strong, detail-oriented, lover, beautiful, or whatever you feel fits the persona of the lost as they come to realize who they are. Training is things that they were trained in during their life and has been instilled in them, but not necessarily part of their core persona. It's essentially your skills. And comprehension is their understanding of how to use the tools around them in the world. Because they are in a fog. And so like your character could be carrying a knife the whole time and not realize it or forget that it was there. And so the comprehension is a way to review, oh wait, not only do I have a knife on me, but I have the training to use it, and then you have the points together. And so those are the 3 things. So essentially they're the same as most role-playing games with like attributes, skills, and items, but they manifest differently in the game. And they all start the same right now in these playtests. I had thought about doing a rate them section, but I don't know if that's necessary. And to be honest, I almost think that training and comprehension are nearly the same thing, especially since they have similar rules where you forget them. They have limits, like training can go up to 3. Comprehension, it goes 3 too. They're almost the same thing. So I'm still kind of struggling with how to visualize that or make that different enough. Because right now it's described as forgetting your training or forgetting you have an item or even losing an item. So narratively it makes sense that they're different, but rules wise it doesn't make sense that they're different. All right. And then the other thing is just to roll, what does the horror want? What is its driving goal? What is it? Let's go with that D6 again. Warmth. The horror wants warmth. Interesting. 4. Words. So desire doesn't have to make sense. I mean, you build on it as you move through the game. And so words can be anything in the terms of what the desire wants. So I get this almost like revenant, like zombie-ish vision of somebody who just is trying to figure out how to express something. But they're in this haze and they haven't even been able to vocalize or even put the thoughts in their head into words yet. And their desire is to be able to just speak and express themselves. But the horror part wants warmth. It's cold. And it wants the warmth of other people. And it probably consumes it. Alright, so that's it. That's character creation. Pretty simple. Because you place these persona points and training points into their own words, their own descriptions as you play, and then those descriptions can go away too. the game is built on doing two things, and that's moving and acting. So moving is just visualize where the character's at and have them move towards someplace else. And you make a roll to determine what happens because they were moving. And then acting is what happened, or how the acting is the actions they take to overcome obstacles that are in a location between moving. So it's move, encounter, act on the encounter, move again. It's a cycle. Everything in this game is a cycle of circles, and that's intentional. It's kind of like a design in my head that what I wanted to try to do. So I did roll a really hard one to visualize to start. So because the character, the lost, is lost, I can just visualize it as fog. Like, the horror has been like lurching around, trying to find warmth, and slowly the lost regains consciousness, but doesn't necessarily know where it's at or what it's seeing, and it's just kind of in this foggy space. Maybe its eyes aren't even functioning correctly yet, and it knows it wants to find words. So maybe the lost wants to find somebody to talk to, and it starts moving, hoping to find it. Now, this game, if you're familiar with Year Zero, this game is very similar. You roll 6-sided dice of 3 different colors, one for persona, one for training, one for comprehension. If you roll 1s, those are called hooks because they drag you down. If you roll 6s, those are called hopes because they give you the hope of returning to who you were. But it's 1s and 6s. That's what you need in this game, is 1s and 6s. And cool. I am moving forward. So I have to describe how I'm moving forward. And in order to describe how I'm moving forward, I have to describe the persona, training, and comprehension that I want to use to move forward. This guy's in the dark, or girl, I don't know, is stubborn. I'm just going to make them stubborn right off the bat. I'll give them a stubborn of 3. And I choose what to do. I have a max of 5 I can put into any descriptive word and persona, but I'm going to do stubborn. I don't know if there's any training. I think there's probably training. The key for any game is to have training. Something education-wise, something they're educated in that would help them find words, or help them find person, help them move forward towards their goal. I think they're going to have a knowledge of the area. What would that be called? Local knowledge. And comprehension. Maybe they are holding an address. An address. I'm gonna give that a 2 also. So now I have this zombie stumbling around like a neighborhood that they start to realize they know. And they look down at their hands, and there's a scrap of paper. No, not a scrap of paper. An address written on the hand. And I don't know if they recognize what that is or not. So we're going to move forward. We're going to roll Um, this is not going to probably work very well because this dice roller, in this game, you're training the ones still affected and still do damage. So I'm just going to have to keep that in mind separately. But all right. So when moving forward, I come and I look at this list here. So let me move this out of the way. There's 4 things you can roll. Hope and no hooks, which means 6s and no 1s. Hope and hook, which 6s and 1s. No hope and no hooks, which means no 1s or 6s. And 1s but no 6s. And I look over here and I have 2 6s. And I have 2 6s and no 1s. So I actually have hope and no hooks, which is great. Now, what I forgot to do before I started was put this darkness of 10 up here. So the first game always starts with a darkness of 10. And as you explore, the darkness that's around the character's mind starts to fade away. And on every moving roll you make, the 6s subtract from the darkness. So my darkness goes down to 8. And I describe what the Lost wants to experience. They experience that. No encounters. So they look down at their hands and they recognize the address and they recognize the street. And they know where there are people they can talk to are. And they start stumbling down the street looking for those people. Now there's nothing to overcome and no encounter, so I go straight to another moving roll. And I'm not gonna change any of these numbers right now. This should go down to 6. Actually, I gotta do the free actions down to. I'm going to just roll the same exact thing because it's the same roll. Look at that. Like, doing good. Doing good. Darkness is down to 6. This like freezing cold undead corpse has turned the corner and found itself on the porch of a house that has an address that's written on its hand. And it looks up at the house. And again, because I did not roll any 1s, I have no encounters. So I'm going to go ahead and just roll the same roll again as it moves up into the house. There we go. Now that is hope and hook. So there is a 6 and there are 2 1s. So if I can defeat an encounter here, I can reduce my darkness by 1 more. So, but I have an encounter I have to deal with. Now encounters have might and depth. Might is how many hope you have to roll in order to damage them by 1 depth. So it's essentially like how many 6s you have to roll to do 1 to it. And then after that, every additional 6 does another damage to it. And depth is how much damage you need to do to it to actually pass it. So how bad you roll determines which chart you roll on. So we'll just do a roll 1d6 for the might. It's 5s. Ooh, that's not good. It's a big, really strong whatever it is. 5. Okay. So I had kind of imagined this being a door. You know, I've kind of pictured this guy as, or this person as a zombie, and they've come to a house and they kind of shamble up the steps and the door is not opening. I don't know if they know how to do the handle, but it's definitely not opening. And if this is a zombie apocalypse type world, which it could be, the door might be barred from the inside, which means that it has a might of 2 and it has a 2 damage. So in order to actually hurt it, I'm going to have to bust it down or figure out another way inside. I have to encounter this encounter before I can move forward. Now I could probably say smart and smart, and I could probably give it a 4. I could say something like security. Like maybe the guy is a security guard. I could even make him a big security guard, like 3. Why not, right? And then crowbar. Yeah, I mean, you just make it up, right? So the guy is smart and realizes that the door is not the only entrance into this house. And when they look down in their hand, they have a crowbar. How long have they been carrying that? Why are they carrying that? Those are some interesting questions, right? So now we know that this person is a local security person. For some reason, something happened before the memory of this game that caused them to have a crowbar in their hand. And they're starting to realize that they are a thinker, not a fighter. So let's go ahead and roll. This is an action roll. So they're acting. It's not a move roll. So there are different rules for that. Now every rule, yeah, there are different rules for that. So let's go ahead and do this. And then the gear for the crowbar. Again, I didn't make these bold, but essentially you have the same hope and no hooks, hope and hooks, no hope and no hooks, hooks and no hope, same thing. So, all right. So I have 2 6s and 2 1s. So I have hope and hooks. If you roll hope equal to or more than the might of the encounter, which I did, which is 2, then the situation favors the lost. Describe how that plays out. Do damage to the encounter equal to the number of extra hope rolled above the might plus 1. Alright, so what this means is that I only do 1 damage because I don't have any extra 6s. Now I could push the roll and try to do extra 6s, but if I do, I'm going to take 2 damage because those 1s will show. I think I want to nothing. I got 1 extra hit. So I took 3 damage and I only did 1 damage to the house. That's pretty easy to figure out. Now, I take 2 to my training. I take 1 to my persona. And so I'm just taking off a smart because this person's going to realize it wasn't very smart. And it won the cycle, the number cycles it went from here to here, and now it cycles back up to damaged. And then the 2 to is security. Maybe they're not a security worker. Maybe just thought they were. I don't know. But I did do 1. So how I picture this is the zombie, the horror's body is guided by the lost to the window next to the door, and it smashes it out with its crowbar. It doesn't try to pry up the window, it just smashes it, and the glass comes and like cuts its arms up, and it backs up realizing that that was probably a bad idea. But it's still going to try to get through. I'm going to roll all that again because it is going to try to get in the house because it needs to get this extra 1. So let's roll it again. But now I've only got 3 in my smart, 1 in my security, and 2 in my gear. Yeah, it's, or 3 in stubborn. Maybe it's stubborn, security, and crowbar. We'll do that. Oh, no. So, hooks and no hope means that if I fail to roll hope, then I take damage equal to the might of the encounter. So I would take 2 more damage. So I'm going to have to push that. I got my 2 6s. Yes. So now it is a hope and hooks. I'm going to take 1 damage to the gear. The crowbar is going to not be happy. And doing the 1 damage I needed to break into the house. So my undead confused friend busts through the window, crawls back into the living room, and now I gain my 1/6 from earlier, so now I'm down to 5. And the damage to the crowbar doesn't necessarily happen to the weapon. It happens to the comprehension of how to use it, right? So like maybe because after they crawl through, they're holding it in the wrong way because they're just forgetting how to actually function. And just being in the house doesn't mean they automatically know what's going on. So they're going to shamble around looking for this nebulous person or thing to read and trying to talk. It's probably grunting, but it can't talk. It can't, the Lost can't figure it out, despite it being smart. So we go back up to moving, make another moving roll. I'm going to go ahead and put this as my home of 2. Local knowledge would be like the town. My home would be this home. And yeah. That's the training. That's the education, knowing that this is their home. And I don't have any items that can help me here. And I can't think of one to use. Not even in the house. So I'm just going to go ahead and roll smart and my home. I'm going to roll it in the gear just in case I need it. Well, there's my hooks. Hope and hook. I'm going to have it no matter what. I want to push to try to reduce my... Yeah, let's push. I really want to find this really fast. Awesome. That's what I was looking for. So, I still have... I take a point of damage. I rolled that damage on my... Yeah, this guy's losing his intelligence really quick. But I still have this 3 here, so I can still pump it up if I need to. Or I can make something new. But if I pass this next encounter, I will reduce this down to 2, and I've almost found what I needed to find. Almost. So let's go ahead and see what the encounter is. It's a might of 1, but a depth of 3. Okay. That's fine. What am I going to find here? So, I probably need an encounter chart, but I think maybe any encounter chart for any setting that you have would be good. Not necessarily just one, because this game could be in any type of setting. I just happen to default into Zombieland for some reason. playing a zombie. Maybe it's a person. It seems like it'd be a person with like 3 strength because it's a depth of 3. So essentially you have 3 damage points and I might have to hit him once. So maybe somebody comes yelling at me from the other room, threatening me. And because I can't comprehend things like guns or knives, really, it's just noise and violence, and they are blocking me from doing what I want. I'm gonna get violent with them. So this goes to 0. Am I missing a point? Oh yeah, because I forgot to move it up here. So all these numbers here, the damage in these 3 should always equal the 10 here. All this number, and these should always equal this number here. And that's why it's still up there. So 8 should be 3, 5. Oh, did I forget to reduce this by 1? There we go. So 3 plus 5 is 8. And there we go. Alright. I'm violent. This is my home. And I have a crowbar. I'm protective of my home. Sorry, whoever you are. Reduce this back down to 3. My crowbar. Ouch. Look at that. No damage. And then in action here. Hope and no hooks. I do damage equal to the damage to the encounter equal to the number of extra hope rolled above the might plus 2. So I do 2 damage automatically, and then because I have this extra 6, because his might was only 1, I do 3 damage to them, and because their depth is only 3, the guy or whatever it is comes yelling at me, and I hit it with the crowbar, and it goes down. It stops being loud. Yes. And then I get my 3 momentum forward from my moving action because I took it out. It was coming out of... What was it coming out of? Let's move forward into that room. Again, this is my home. I should know this, right? And I'm smart. So let's roll. No, man, no, I'm not smart. I'm not smart at all. I'm going to have to push it. Yep. Definitely not smart at all. So let's go back down here to hooks and no hope. Describe what the lost really doesn't want to happen. It hurts them, and then they face an encounter, but only after you suffer damage from it first. So I did so bad, and I pushed the roll. So I think my smarts are going away. I am not smart anymore. I'm regressing the gains I took, and realizing that I was more than just a zombie is not... I'm starting to forget it again. I'm lost in this violence and stubbornness. That's all I have left. And that was just from the generic roll. But I have to face an encounter, and because I failed so bad, I have to actually face it and take damage from it first. So, hooks and no hope. Face an encounter only after you suffer damage from it first. And the encounter is on these charts, not these charts, because I failed so badly. Oh boy. This guy is not long for life. It has a might of 3. And... what was that, a 4? A depth of 4. I think it's a bunch of people. I think it's a mob of people. like I follow where the shape had come from, and a bunch of people are coming in the back door of this house, and they're coming at me with weapons or things and sticks, and it's really throwing me off. I'm gonna go ahead and bump my home up to 3 using this, because I think I'm violent and I'm angry that these people are in some place that I consider my home. I have a crowbar still. I'm gonna go ahead and bump that up to 2, because it's a mob and I don't want my guy to just be killed completely. So let's just roll. I need 3 6s and I rolled 0. I rolled 0 6s because I'm getting mobbed by a mob. Oh, you know, I've been not calculating either. So there's another rule that I wrote in here and I totally forgot about. Is damage you get from pushing gives you fate points. And I totally forgot about that. So this last one I got 2 from pushing. So let's just go ahead and get that up there. And then I got 1 from pushing here, 3. And this one I got 1 from pushing, so I have 4. And this one I got 3 from. So I have, okay, I have 7 fate or more. We'll just keep it at that. Now fate points allow you to do, where are my fate points? So you can re-roll fate point or dice by spending a fate point at any time. They don't count as pushing, but if you roll a 6, a hope on it, it counts as 2 hopes. If you roll a hook on it, it counts as 2 hooks. So it's you know, it just helps you out. And I think I'm gonna have to re-roll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm gonna re-roll all those dice. Every last one. I'm just going to spin my fate, all of it. So I've never tested the rule, so why not just break it as fast as I can, right? 3, 3, 2, roll. Four. So now I am down to 2 hopes and 4 hooks. So when it comes to fighting them, this is before a push, by the way, because I spent it before a push. Hopes and hooks. Alright, so I do damage to them. But I can't because their might is 3. So I can't do damage to them because I only have 2. So I'm going to go ahead and push it. And hope I don't hurt myself. Alright. So I did 4. I have 4 hopes because these are fate dice I'm rolling. So that's 2 6s equal 4 6s. Which is fine. Which means they have 4, and I do 1 plus 1. I do 2 points of damage to their 4, so they're half gone. However, because these are fate dice, this 1 here takes 2 of mine away. Here. So maybe this isn't my home? I don't know. I also suffer 4. I lose my crowbar because I suffered this black die here, and these 2 do 4 points to my persona. So like, these 3 go away. So it's up to 7 here, and then this one goes down to 2. And I'm not sure I like that fate point mechanic, but boy, did they come and mob me. Like, I like hit one with my crowbar, and the crowbar goes flying across the room, and they just start wailing on me and wailing on me. And I try, and I start thinking, well, maybe I'm in the wrong house. I don't know. Can I think that? Maybe some voice deep inside me. Oh, that's not happy. I have stubborn. I'm going to use that. 2. I have my home, which is still 1. And I have nothing else. So let's roll it. I have to push it. Alright, hooks and hopes. At least I got it. It's on a push. So I take a point of damage to my stubborn. So I'm almost out. Almost out. He's almost beat him to death, but oh no, I don't have any. Because I needed 3. This mob is a strength 3, a might of 3. So I can't do damage to them. I did that damage on a push, so now though I consider to have hooks and no hope. So I take damage equal to the might of the encounter, which is 3. I'm going to go ahead and put this down at 0. So that's 1. That was I was using, stubborn I was using, so that goes down to, and then 10. Damaged. Out. Outs. They beat me. So, let's see. When all your points of persona you're considered broken, you lose control to the horror and they get their way for a short time. If you're within 2 points from your desire, I am. The horror destroys your desire, making it impossible to achieve. Alright. Which means I'd have to find a new desire if I wanted to keep playing this character. So the horror can do anything. Like, it could literally just suck the warmth out of everybody around it, killing them all. And then when the character wakes up, it can't achieve the words it wanted with the people in this house because they're all dead. I think that's how it happens. I think that they beat the lost into submission and the horror comes back and it just opens its mouth and the life, the warmth of everybody in the room just floods into it and they slowly die from it. This sucks it out. Sucks it out. And when it finally takes a moment and the lost finally starts to retain consciousness within it, it suffers a trauma. What trauma? 5. Jealousy? That doesn't quite work. I think we're just going to go with injury because it got beat on so bad. So, so what happens once you gain back control is everything flips, right? So the horror actually does its thing and heals you. So all your damage gets reset because now that your body is back to feeling normal, you can regain control and try to push on again. Now, this character I think is not viable anymore. I think that the desire of learning how to speak, learning to say something to the people in this house, I think it's just a lost cause. I think if this was a story, this character would just become a zombie or a horrible warmth-sucking nuclear zombie, essentially, and just be passed on. I think it was very much a one-trick type of character, but I could go back up and be like, what type of desire does it have now? Revenge? Does it want to kill other horrors? Does it want to kill itself? It could have a desire like that, right? So I might just put revenge up there. Revenge. Revenge. And then if I continued playing it, what I would do is, where'd my damage go here? All this progress resets. It resets up to 10 because the horror actually got its way. So it's darkness is only 10. If it doesn't get its way and you get your desire, the darkness increases, so it always gets harder because the horror always wants what it wants. So it always will. The longer you deny it, the more it'll happen. I am injured, so the trauma lingers. Trauma is -2 to all my rolls, no matter what, because I'm injured. That means his body is completely, really wrecked. Now, man, trauma. Anyways, trauma. You would think I would be able to spell, or before I made a video, I'd spell check, because trauma is definitely not spelled right in either of these cases. But whatever. It's a really quick note I made in like a day while working. So, anyways, I have to suffer from the trauma at least once. And once I do that, I can decide to mark it over to experience and note a physical characteristic or a psychological characteristic that I remember about my character. So it could be like, as he's looking at himself stumbling, he remembers that he had a large body type. He was big boned, or he was muscular, and I can write that down. Or I can really put into characteristics that he is stubborn. It's not just this thing, it's a psychological thing. He is stubborn, or he can be looking at the dead people around him and remember that he was always a good father, because he's looking at his family and that is just horrible. Like, yeah, that is, yeah. And he just remembers that. And then later on, when you peel back the darkness and you achieve your goal, you actually get a memory of it. So, and you've got a memory of why that goal was important. And it's just this cycle that keeps going until you know more about your character. But unfortunately, in this playtest, this very first playtest, he got stomped. And I think there are a couple sticky points here. Like, I think these charts may be too hard. But then again, you're going to play a monster shambling around a world, or a fey creature sucking souls from people, or, so maybe it's not too hard. I don't know. I'm going to have to think about that. If anybody has any opinions, they can find me, reach out, tell me. I love opinions. All right. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you later. Bye.